Vladivostok, a city in the far eastern part of Russia, is the scene of today's first story on CNN 10. I'm Carl Azus. Hope your Thursday's going well. Russia is one of the three countries that border North Korea. It shares a tiny 11-mile stretch of land with Russia, and that's what North Korean leader Kim Jong-un crossed this week for a summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin. They're scheduled to meet Thursday in the city of Vladivostok. It'll be the first time ever these two leaders have met face-to-face. North Korean dictator Kim says he hopes to, quote, discuss issues of resolving the situation on the Korean peninsula and developing the two countries' relations. Analysts say that might include trade. China is North Korea's only real trading partner. The country could benefit by having others, like Russia. But the international sanctions, the penalties on North Korea's economy, could also factor in here. Experts say Chairman Kim could be looking for Russian support in getting some of those sanctions removed. We've told you how we met with U.S. President Donald Trump for their second ever summit in February. That ended without a deal. The two sides didn't agree on the issues of sanctions relief for North Korea in exchange for the communist nation giving up its nuclear weapons program. So at a time when there's an impasse between North Korea and the U.S. and heightened tensions between Russia and the U.S., officials around the world are curious to see what happens when Chairman Kim and President Putin get together. For months, Russia and the United States have been flexing their military muscles on the global stage.
Tonight, an exclusive look as the U.S. military sends a message of deterrence to Russia, moving 2 aircraft carriers to the Mediterranean, and in a rare move, bringing America's ambassador to Moscow, John Huntsman, on board, a clear signal to Russia.
When you have 200,000 tons of diplomacy that is cruising in the Mediterranean, this is what I call diplomacy. This is forward deployed diplomacy. Nothing else needs to be said. You have all the confidence you need when you sit down and you try to find solutions to the problems that have divided us now for many, many years.
CNN was on board as the USS Abraham Lincoln and the John C. Stennis are going to conduct operations on a scale unseen here since 2016. All this in an area where Russia is trying to expand its influence, deploying more warships and submarines with cruise missiles.
The U.S. military is extremely concerned about Russia's increasingly strong military posture in this region. And with this deployment, America is making clear to Moscow that it will back.
The U.S. Navy is also assuring America's allies that it won't waver on commitments to protect against Russian aggression. A Spanish ship even sailing as part of the carrier strike group.
We're not going to be deterred by any potential adversary, and we are going to support our interest as Americans and also those of our allies as we steam throughout the world.
With Russia increasingly assertive in the entire northern Atlantic and Arctic region, the U.S. Navy is putting on its own show of force for the Kremlin to clearly see.
At least 156 people in 10 U.S. states have been infected by E. coli. It's an abbreviation for Escherichia coli, the name of a bacteria. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control says those who've gotten sick had eaten tainted ground beef at home and in restaurants. 20 of the victims have been hospitalized, but no one has died. There's a ground beef supplier in Georgia that's recalled more than 113,000 pounds of raw ground beef because of possible E. coli contamination. But the company says those items were produced starting in late March, and the current outbreak began weeks before that on March 1st.
E. coli is a type of bacteria. It lives in your intestines, and it lives in the intestines of animals. Most of the time, E. coli is harmless. You're not going to get sick. But there are some strains that can get you sick. E. coli 0157H7 is a particularly dangerous strain of E. coli. You can get it from undercooked ground meat, you can get it from vegetables, from unpasteurized milk and juice, from soft cheeses. While it is found in vegetables, ultimately an animal is the source, so animal waste somehow has come in contact with crops. Children and adults with weakened immune system, they're the most vulnerable to getting very sick. The signs of E. coli poisoning are nausea and vomiting, abdominal pain, cramps, fatigue, and fever. Most people who get sick from E. coli, they recover in 5 to 10 days. But some people, they get really sick. Their organs can shut down and they can die. There are things that you can do to prevent an E. coli infection. Wash your fruits and vegetables, cook your meats thoroughly, use a thermometer and get that thermometer up to 160 degrees. There's no cure for an E. coli infection. Antibiotics don't work, so the best that you can do is keep yourself hydrated and keep yourself rested.
10-second trivia. On which of these animals would you find a plastron? Arabian horse, sea turtle, garter snake, or snow crab? A plastron is the underside of a tortoise or turtle's shell, so the sea turtle is the only animal here that has one. Sea turtles are endangered, and it's illegal in several countries to interfere with them in any way. But there's a US-based environmental organization that gives people the chance to catch sea turtles so they can be tagged and researched. The cost is about $3,000 per person.
You feel a connection with the sea turtles when you're swimming with them, you know, it's incredible. It's an absolute incredible experience, truly once in a lifetime for us. It is magical here. I mean, the beaches are beautiful. I've never in my life seen water like in Eleuthera.
It really is one of the most beautiful places on the planet, I think.
I'm Catherine, and this is David, and we're from Tampa, Florida, and we're here volunteering with Earthwatch to help research the sea turtles. I've always loved sea turtles. Growing up, I've always collected turtles, and because they're an endangered species, Earthwatch is really the only way that we could get close to them.
You're so light. We were just on the lookout on the Earthwatch website waiting for this trip to come up, and then we signed up. I just want to snuggle with you. You'll probably bite me.
He doesn't want to snuggle with you.
413. Nice. Okay, just give it a little clean up.
My name is Annabelle Brooks, and I'm the lead scientist for the Tracking Sea Turtles in the Bahamas project. And with Earthwatch, we have volunteers that come in and help me in the field. And so they're actively out there helping us capture the turtles so that we can collect the data that we need to answer some really important biological and ecological questions.
92.
Once we bring the turtles to the beach, we're measuring their shell, we're measuring its head, we're taking pictures of the sea turtles.
Red algae on the back of shell.
Algae on back of
Or
shell?
bottom of shell, yeah.
We'll also then tag them so that in the future, if we recapture that individual, we'll know exactly who they are, how much they've grown, and how they're developing. So that gives us a huge amount of information.
There we go. So that way we are not going to catch you again today, mister.
Y'all see him up front? Where is it?
Yes, right there. Yep.
Yeah, 9 o'clock. Catching a sea turtle is really difficult. We're on a boat and we're kind of driving around in an area that we think there's going to be quite a number of sea turtles. We'll spot a sea turtle, we'll follow it in the boat, and one person will jump off the boat and they'll swim to try and be able to catch the sea turtle. Turtles are 100% faster than us.
They're much quicker underwater than I really thought.
The best is when they're right below you and you're swimming over top of them, and it's just like you and the turtle are swimming together, and it's like, I don't want to stop this. Like, yeah, let's just continue to swim like this. But then you think like, okay, Annabelle, needs our help with this research, so like I need to catch you now, okay?
That's the amazing thing about Earthwatch expeditions is that working with scientists who have the permits and the skills to be able to do this work, get to do things that you would never be able to do.
I just caught a pretty big sea turtle.
Gorilla selfie might make you picture an animal playing with a camera. In this case, the animals were posing for the camera. A park ranger in the Democratic Republic of Congo took this. He'd helped rescue the gorillas when they were babies. Virunga National Park says most primates are comfortable doing this for short periods of time. It hopes the picture's popularity will help with conservation efforts. The ranger wrote simply, "Another day at the office." A really good one. It's hard to feel lowland when you have gorillas stand up for you. They're willing to pose, but not pose a threat. They've gotten up on their own 2 feet. They're not trying to bamboozle anyone. In short, they look like they'd make prime mates. That's our stance on CNN 10. I'm Carl Azus.